unfortunately, David couldn't join us for some reason, so I'm going to just step in and talk about permaculture. So, yeah, so basically, I don't have anything planned, so let's just make it more of a kind of conversation. You know, what do we feel permaculture is? Yeah, what do we know about it? What can we use it for, and so on and so forth. So yeah, so let's try and make this reasonably interactive. So let's start first of all by getting some kind of definition. Would someone like to try and, many people use the word permaculture. Everyone kind of says, yeah, I've got a permaculture garden or something, this, that, and the other. Everyone has some kind of idea of what they think permaculture is. But it can mean very different things to many different people. So let's see if we can come to some kind of vague definition of what we mean when we're talking about permaculture. So who'd like to offer a definition? What does permaculture mean to you? So I know some of you have studied it already. What would be interesting to hear from those who haven't studied permaculture, what you think permaculture is. Susan.
I haven't studied it. I mean, I've read lots about it, but I haven't actually been on a course. I suppose for me, it's using resources that you've got or refashioning a resource into something else rather than throwing it away.
Great. Yep. Okay. So about making good use of resources. Okay. What else? What else is YouTube to you?
It seems to me that it's an invitation to create a relationship with nature where we are part of nature and not manipulating nature.
Yeah, so it's about, so I was a bit distracted there because Gray was saying that the YouTube channel wasn't working. That's why I threw the word in YouTube when I was obviously meant permaculture. So yeah, permaculture. We don't want to know what YouTube is. It's just out there. Hello, YouTube, if you're out there. Thank you if you start working. So what is permaculture? Yeah, it's about respecting nature and recognizing that, as Nabi said, we are intricately part of nature. We were born from nature. We are part of nature. It's just in some people's minds we are somehow separate, and in a lot of the conditioning, people, in a lot of the education and various different religious ideologies that try to convince us that we are somehow superior, that somehow we are separate from nature and we must control nature because of this superiority we have. And we can see where that's led to. And so a big part of permaculture comes from, first of all, it comes from the desire to try and meet human needs. And what we mean by human needs, originally it was about food needs, but since then, as we can see, it's grown way, way, way beyond that. So originally it was a desire, a system, a design system, looking at how we can meet our food needs in a way that recognizes the patterns of nature and how nature works, and allowing nature to be, allowing us to really just fit in and encourage nature to be rich and abundant and vibrant and what have you. So in other words, really taking care of nature. I mean, let's face it, ultimately nature can take care of itself. It's only because of human activity that we have been destroying nature because of this greedy, consumerist kind of mentality, the whole destructo culture kind of mentality. We've been abusing it, and therefore nature has been struggling because of our over consumption and over dominance of it. So, but ultimately nature can look after itself. So if we work with nature, allow her to take care of herself, she will also take care of us. So permaculture is based on It's looking at how nature works, understanding her patterns, understanding how she creates richness and abundance, and how she creates spaces and niches for all kinds of different animals and insects and bacteria and plants and including humans. How nature creates all these amazing opportunities for us to all interact, and how it does it in a way that allows everyone, all entities, to really somehow live in some kind of equilibrium, and observing what happens when we're out of that equilibrium, i.e. we become greedy, when we try to take too much, and the destructive kind of spiral of destruction that comes from that, and replacing that with spirals of abundance, replacing that with patterns that allow systems to get richer and stronger at every iteration. So permaculture really is about meeting our human needs in such a way that enriches the life of other human beings, but also enriches the life and opportunities for nature to really thrive and really be rich and abundant and just really joyful and expressing itself in its fullest capacity. And so it's as simple as that. You know, that's what permaculture is. So it's based on 3 ethics. And so every decision we make is based on whether we are meeting those 3 ethics or not. So what are those 3 ethics? What's the first permaculture ethic?
Earth care.
Yep, got it. Yeah, I think both of you got it. Earth care. And what does that mean? What does that mean to you? Marta first, and then maybe Andrea or whoever else. What does earth care really mean? It's easy to say, but
Taking care of the planet and all the inhabitants in it.
Which includes humans. You know, we are part of that. So it's all the animals and all the insects. It's about taking care of the air, taking care of water. So the way we use it is when we look at whatever system we're working with, whatever we're designing, to ensure that it leaves so whatever state it comes into our system in, that when it leaves our system, it's in a much better, cleaner state than even when it came in. This is an ideal scenario. So if we've got some kind of polluted air coming in, is there something we can do to turn that and purify that so that then our neighbor, the next person who's going to breathe that air, can actually breathe fresh air? If it's water coming in, you know, that is in you know, maybe not the ideal state, is there something we can do so that by the time it leaves our property or the piece of land that we are currently custodians of, by the time it leaves it, could it be cleaner so that our neighbor can then enjoy clean water? So it's about understanding these patterns and, you know, really taking care, because the more we clean, the more we purify, the more we allow this abundance to take place, the stronger all systems will be. So yeah, so earth care is, and ultimately the reason why I say earth care is first is because if we don't take care of the earth, there's no planet for human beings. We will not have a planet that is compatible with human, you know, living. So we really must take care of Earth first. It's highest priority. You know, if we look around the globe, or if we look around the universe, you know, we're searching for places that have life. And you know, and it's okay. The universe is mind-bogglingly humongous, and so we can only see just just a little bit, but of all the planets that we have managed to explore, we've not found life anywhere. We haven't found, I'm sure it's out there somewhere. I'm absolutely convinced of it. There must be. It's a improbability that there isn't life somewhere, but how far away? And so it's quite a rare condition to have a planet that is far enough, or rather, first of all, close enough to a heat source to make it hot, but not so close that it will just burn, to be far enough away so that it can create some kind of an atmosphere, a planet that holds on to its moisture so that whatever moisture is in it, it doesn't, because of the atmosphere, it doesn't just go off into space and so on and so forth. To have a planet that has all, that is just, another 100 kilometers one way or the other, this planet will be uninhabitable. But just because it's exactly the right place, exactly far enough away from the sun, it has all the resources to afford life. And so it's really precious. It's really rare. And we, Homo sapiens, apparently it's called, Homo sapien means the smart ape. The smart ape, what kind of intelligence destroys the very thing that affords it life, that because of its own greed, it acts in such a way that it destroys this amazingly beautiful, perfect, rare condition that affords it the ability to be able to live. I would say that's not very smart. That's, if you look in the kind of wild kingdom, when a being behaves this way, we call it a parasite. Just think about it. So this conventional destructo-culture mentality is like a parasite on this planet. So because we're destroying it, and we know we're doing it. It's not new. It's not that, all of a sudden, just last year we discovered, are we really doing that? We've known this for a long time, and yet we're not doing so. Permaculture, this is number one thing, is let's start behaving in a way that really allows our systems to really become rich and abundant and really start to come to life. And so it's not just about blaming human beings and saying, we're terrible, it's about finding solutions. It's about creating solutions. It's about being clever, about being imaginative in how we can reverse all of these challenges. So earth care, first thing, take care of the earth. The next thing is next ethic. Kind of mentioned it already a tiny bit.
People care.
The people care because, and it's people care because, all right, we are human centric and we are human beings, we are people, and therefore we're going to be thinking from our perspective. So while we are absolutely 100% just another being on this planet, and we are totally part of it, so we are part of Earth Care, but because we're seeing the world through our eyes, it's also useful just to put that in a separate category so that we can make sure that, because we're destroying it because of what we see and how we see it. So how can we change the way in which we see the world? How is it that we can start creating a culture that actually thinks more about enriching first meeting our needs in a way that also enriches other people's needs, that also enriches, our environment and so on and so forth. So people care is very essential because we are human. And yeah, as I say, Earth Care is all about making sure that we meet our needs in the richest possible way. So not in a selfish way, but in a way that really enriches other people's lives. And that includes people we know, people we don't know. So on the other side of the earth, it includes future generations. So if we're doing things that are going to deprive future generations of their ability to really thrive on the planet. That's not permaculture. So again, when we're designing, what we're looking for is we're looking for opportunities. How much am I taking? If I create this scenario, how much am I taking care of other people? Is there something I can do? Is there another group of people that I could be taking care of when I do this? Am I exploiting anyone? Am I, what can I do to remove that exploitation? How is it that I can reverse that and actually, instead of exploiting, I can actually enrich people instead? So every step, it's about enriching life for everyone. And the last ethic, a bit controversial, there's a few different names. So say again, Teresa?
Returning surplus to both.
So yes, so there's many different ways in which people express the third ethic. So it came originally from two ethics, which was one was return of surplus, and the other one is about living within your means. It's about controlling of resources. And they kind of munged those two together to try and call it fair share. Though there's other people who kind of say, well, let's change that even a little bit more and call it future care. So I don't care which way you want to say it, how you want to express it, it means the same thing. It's about making sure we don't take more out of the system than the system can give us. So take your fair share, take what you need to really thrive, and everything else you return back into the system to regenerate, to make it richer, whether that's returning it to other people so that they can enrich systems, or whether it's returning it to the soil, whether it's returning it to whatever system it is. It's about constantly investing and reinvesting and reinvesting, and so that the systems become richer and richer and stronger, more vibrant in every iteration. So these are the foundations of permaculture. How much time do we have, by the way? Well,
you've got till 25 past.
Oh, okay, so 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, so all right, where could we apply this then? So permaculture is all about enriching, meeting our human needs in a way that enriches everyone else and everything else around us, including nature. So where could we apply this? What kind of areas have you seen this applied to in permaculture? Go on, Nabi. I can see you.
Thank you. Well, it's interesting. I'm very into body-based movements and somatic healing, and one of the things that, as I'm getting deeper into my own inner healing and the healing of the little piece of land that's around me, is just seeing how I'm reflected in nature and how I have those same elements outside, the wood element and the metal element and the water element within me. So that kind of, when you were talking about the people care, that yes, we're coming from our own perspective, but it's also because we're a fraction of the bigger whole. So when we are doing that inner work within ourselves and noticing where do we have more excess in, and where can we balance this flow of energy, we can also see it happening, at least in my life, happening in my little garden outside. So
beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, the two kind of, your inner ecology and your outer ecology, one of my definitions actually of permaculture is just common sense in a world where sense is no longer common. So in other words, it's just a combination, it's just a design system that helps us to see things that really we should be seeing anyway, that if we had common sense, we would just be able to see it. So for me, it is completely common sense that, your inner ecology and the balance of your inner ecology, including your mind, body, spirit, the whole thing, is just another micro reflection of, the outer ecology. And so if anyone knows anything about yoga, real yoga as opposed to just, the physical postures, asanas, but if anyone knows about yoga, it's all about creating this balance. It's about this single pointedness of determination to understand and purify yourself. And through your meditation, through your sadhana, to relieve yourself of your samskaras and things so that you can, break away from the bondage of having to reincarnate. And so it's that single pointedness of determination of purifying and understanding yourself through your internal work. But it's also about having the same single pointedness of determination to purify the outer world. So just sitting in a cave and meditating for the rest of your life is not yoga, because that's kind of selfish. That's just doing it for yourself. Living in a commune where everyone else just does everything for you, they come and feed you so that you can just sit in meditation, is not yoga. Yoga is putting this into practice in every aspect of life. It's about expanding your mind in every single aspect of everything you do. So purifying the outside world, purifying, helping others to live more fully, to express themselves more beautifully, to really live fulfilled lives, to allow animals and insects and plants to really express themselves. That's why in my permaculture garden, I allow many of my plants to go to seed, much more than any other gardener would ever do, because but in the process of allowing it to flower, it's in Sanskrit we call it dharma. It's the purpose, and it loses its meaning in English, but in dharma it's like it's a really strong word, your dharma. It's just to say, in English it doesn't have the same real strength, but the purpose is kind of, or duty is kind of the closest people come to. The dharma of a plant is to reproduce and to continue its lineage. So by constantly chopping it and stopping it from doing that has a karmic effect. It affects your samskaras. So allowing a big percentage of your plants to go to flower and fulfill its dharma, for me, is yoga. This is part of my yoga path. This is part of me creating balance. The beauty of it from a permaculture perspective is by allowing your plants to go to flower, it attracts insects. It attracts life. It's beautiful for us and for everyone else. It creates a huge amount of biomass. Many of the flowers are edible. Many of the seeds that then come, half of them you can scatter, half of them you can eat, so it just adds so many possibilities. And the seeds you collect from your garden that just self-seeds. I just went into my garden just now before I came here to have a look. All the radishes and the mustards that I planted last year, they dropped their seeds and now they're coming back through. I haven't planted any of them, but I let so many mustards and radishes go to seed. And as anyone knows, in the Brassicaceae family, they create hundreds of seeds and they're just coming back already. And so, it's just spring equinox, and yet I can eat some of these already. It's not that they've just started to grow, they're already edible. I can start harvesting some of these already. And and some of last year's rocket is actually now going to see, it's now going to flower again. So it's, it's some really amazing cycles happening here. So for me, this is permaculture. It's all about, respecting nature, working with her cycles, and allowing her to really give us, really meet our needs, our spiritual, mental, physical needs in a really deep way. And just that connection with nature that we have. Just understanding those patterns and feeling those patterns. You know, one of the things that I'll encourage people to do when they're studying with me is especially when we're talking about plants, to say, if you really want to know how to grow plants, actually, maybe I can redefine that first of all. When people ask me, what are you growing in your garden? I'll say nothing. I don't grow anything. Huh? But you're a permaculturist, and you're supposed to. No, I don't grow anything. Nature grows the stuff. I don't grow it. I'm not God. Well, actually, I am. I'm the god of the mountains. Rakesh means Lord of the Mountains, but that's just a definition that we, man, put on ourselves. But I'm also Lord of the Full Moon in Sanskrit. But who am I? I don't grow anything. Nature grows stuff. Nature has this ability, this innate drive to want to survive and grow. So we let nature do the work. And actually, I know we've just got 2-3 minutes left, so maybe I'll start wrapping things up. Yeah, in studying permaculture, we study how nature really thrives. We then start to introspect and look at our needs. What are our needs? What is it? What's really going to allow me to really thrive on this planet? So I do this exercise called needs versus greeds, where we look at certain things, you know, so some of the basics, like what is it? What are the things that if we do without, we die? All right, these are the absolute core basic essentials. Then what are the things that if we have these things, they really enrich our lives? So in permaculture, we can first of all see how is it that we can meet our basic needs, but then let's concentrate on really playing with and really experimenting on all these things that really enrich our lives. And what many people say is things that really enrich their lives, it's about having a purpose, having some kind of reason to live, you know, your ikigai, if you're familiar with that term. You know, what is it that gets you up in the morning, you know? So it's like, oh my God, it's Monday morning. Great. Yes. Okay. It's Monday morning. Woo. My ikigai. What is it that, you know, and most people are like, oh my God, it's Monday morning. Oh, here I have to go again. That's not living. That's existing. So where's your ikigai? So let's have a look at what are the things that are going to make you want to wake up in the morning and say, yay, 6 o'clock, Monday morning. Great. Let's go. And how do we bring those things into our lives? You know, and so this is what we concentrate on our course. We concentrate on, so I get everyone to think that through, first of all. You know, what are the other things? There's a sense of purpose. There's a sense of being, a sense of, you know, of, you know, your place in, you know, with friends and communities. There's, you know, some sense of that you're growing, that you're expanding, that you're enriching your life. You know, it's not stagnant. There's joyfulness. There's able to express yourselves, whether it's artistically, vocally, in drawings, to be able to express and, you know, to grow. And so if we, so once we've identified those, then what we do is we then start seeing, well, what are we currently already doing, each of us, to meet those needs? Where are the gaps? So once we see where, so if we're already doing a load of things really well, fantastic, brilliant, let's keep doing. But where are those gaps? So now you're ready to study permaculture. The way that I teach permaculture anyway. Now you're ready to start thinking about what is it that I can do to really bring that ikigai in. And so now when you're listening to the permaculture course, you know which area to really concentrate on. If you're really good with the food, all right, maybe it's the social side. If you're really good with the social side, maybe it's the food side that you might need to concentrate on. And, you know, and the last final thing before we wrap up, where permaculture can be applied to, it can be applied to every single part of our all of our needs. So we can apply it to our food, you know, how we grow, where we grow our food, And if it's not growing our food, where can we acquire it from? How else? You know, through community gardens, through CSAs, community supported agriculture projects. Then how do we meet our housing needs? How do we meet our financial needs? You know, what you find is once you start redefining what you actually need, you know, as I say, the technique or the tool that I use is needs versus greeds, which is a little bit cheeky, but it's saying anything that doesn't really enrich your life or isn't part of your basic staple, you know, your essentials, everything else is kind of a greed. It's kind of, you know, wanting something that maybe this, you know, the capitalistic system tells you this is what you need to really enjoy life. And so you chase after these things that are not really enriching you. They're just kind of superficial. And so once you start taking those out of the system and start looking at the things that will really enrich your life, you'll find actually you need very little money to be able to do that. Once you solve the housing problem, for everything else, you need very little finance. So your vocation, your job, can now all of a sudden, you can redefine what you do as a job in order to earn that much money, because you really don't need much, and so on and so forth. So everything has its repercussions, has its knock-on effects. So we can apply permaculture to our livelihoods, to our buildings, to food, to pretty much every aspect of our life, and most significantly, the social side of life, of how to really bring this joyfulness into this world. So if this is interesting to you, I've got various workshops coming up. In fact, we've got a full certified 20 sessions, which, you know, a fully certified permaculture design course coming up in April. There's still plenty of places. And yeah, and anyone who joins any of my courses, as you know, joins this Roots and Permaculture network. And as part of that Roots and Permaculture network, we have a lot of really wonderful people who spend a lot of time helping and sharing skills with each other. In fact, this project, Roots and Resilience, is the public side of Roots and Permaculture. So this network that, you know, of my students who all support each other. We do all kinds of cross-skilling internally, but then we also, this is our public offering. This is how we also share that love, that connection, that knowledge, that inspiration to the rest of the world. So if that's something you're interested in, would love to see you, because it's all about creating this revolution, this love revolution, to really make this world the most beautiful, loving, caring place that we all deep in our hearts know is possible. That's me. I'm done.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rakesh. It's really beautiful. So we've got like about 5 minutes left until the next session. So yeah.